AdamHarry back again with a quick BoLS review. Today we're going to take a look at The Gathering Storm, Fall of Cadia. This is the first book in the Gathering Storm series. I'm assuming that we're going to see some more of this because, wow. This is the back of the book. While this book does contain new rules and units, again, for the Triumvirate of the Imperium, a bunch of new detachments, formations, relics, and all that stuff, I'm going to briefly go over some of that stuff towards the end. But I want to spend some time talking about the story. Real high level. I don't want to break it down step by step because it's actually, I think, worth picking up this book just to read about the Fall of Cadia. And spoiler alert, again, the book is called Fall of Cadia. I think you know where I'm going with this. It does actually fall. Cadia is actually destroyed. There's 850 million souls on Cadia, and about 4 million make it off planet, but even those 4 million, not all of them make it to safety. So I'm not going to go much into that too. But again, big spoiler, Cadia is actually destroyed. Sorry, Creed fans. They don't. Creed, High Lord Creed, Castellan Creed does not quite make it out unscathed. And Cadia's forces there's still a remnant, so there's hope apparently. Here's the Dramatis Personae. I'm not going to read all those guys, but it's a ton of folks. Again, Creed's there, Kel, his bodyguard, Call, Celestine, her handmaidens, Greyfax shows up. There's a segment of the Imperial Fist on there from the Third Company, which we'll get to. There's also some Black Templars there, led by Marshal Almerich. There's a couple of Wolfen High Lords that show up there, or Wolf Lords. The 13th Black Crusade, of course, we got Abaddon, all his fleet, the Hounds of Abaddon. It's pretty brutal. The first 3 chapters of this book are dedicated to the story, as you can kind of see there, dedicated to the story of the Fall of Cadia. It's a lot of this book. Then the rules make up the last chunk of this book. So it's about half and half rules and half lore. So sprinkled throughout the book is just amazing lore sections, obviously, and just fantastic artwork. Really impressed, actually, by the level of art GW put in here, besides just the photography stuff. I always like to see just the pictures of it, throwbacks to old school stuff. The Black Templars are kind of the zealots that they are, or zealous zealots that they are. They love hanging out with the Inquisitors and doing stuff with them. Again, St. Celestine's in there too. So the first chapter kind of sets the stage. We've got Call, who's on another planet, actually not in the Cadia planet proper, but another sector, digging around the desert for some stuff. He finds something. But again, you can see all the cool art, the story, just awesome spreads of artwork. There's a big old Warlord Titan in the background. Some cool stuff going on. There's Call in the desert searching for something mysterious. He actually fights off orcs, so all you Xenos players that were like, I'm feeling left out, don't feel bad. The orcs do make an appearance in this book, although it's kind of short-lived. Again, Tarzan, I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, but Tarzan shows up quite a bit. He's a pivotal figure. He kind of lurks in the shadows for most of the story, trying to decide whether or not he wants to help or hinder, and who he wants to take back to his collection. The Phalanx, for those of you who don't know, I didn't know what this was until I started reading about it and doing some research about it, but the Phalanx is actually the big capital, almost planetoid-sized battlecruiser that the Imperial Fists call home. It's basically their home base. Although the Imperial Fists, their home planet is technically Terra, the Phalanx is the big floating war station that they kind of call home base for the entire chapter of Imperial Fist. Right now, at the start of the story, kind of picks up, if you read, I believe it's the Defenders of the Imperium or one of those books, something like that. The Phalanx is kind of manned by a skeleton crew, and this kind of covers that backstory. It's got Becklor and I believe, who is it, Warsmith from the Iron Warriors, Sean Tu have kind of launched an assault on the Phalanx, and the remnants of the Third Company are there, kind of holding up. Those are actually the new guys, by the way. Their Third Company are holding it down, and so they are forced to basically turn the guns inward and the internal defenses inward, and take heavy losses to take out There's reactor leaks and all this crazy stuff going on. But demons and versus Imperial Fists, and they're not the veteran Imperial Fists. That those guys are off doing a crusade right now. But they get the call to come help out, and so dutifully they launch their engines and head to Cadia. Kind of makes a big deal of that. This is the whole sector of Cadia. And it kind of breaks down all the different planets, all the different systems that are in the area. This is the Eye of Terror again, the whole sector. And you can see here. Here's Cadia, and there's a peaceful part of the warp. Again, the Eye of Terror is here. Cadia is this one system that the warp can't quite complete the eye with. So that's kind of what this whole book is about. The fight over Cadia to kind of open that whole warp gate all the way through. So there's a Blackstone Fortress involved. A lot of folks, if you don't know, that's been kind of spoiled already. But the Blackstone Fortress, again, an ancient weapon, actually gets destroyed. It's an Abaddon's fleet, and his Blackstone Fortress gets bombed, but he's got plans. There's a massive battle in Cadia. You kind of know that's going. It's not looking good. It's just really not looking good for most of the fight. The Black Crusades wrecking the defenses, and places are falling all over the place. Again, skipping ahead, Celestin shows up, which again, awesome artwork. All this stuff from GW. She shows up to rally the troops. She's pushing back. Kicking a lot of butt. Obviously, there's another awesome spread. And just looking through the picture, you got some Slaanesh demons, some Khorne demons, the big old bloodthirster that Celestine's just gonna rip apart. And yeah, it's just cool stuff, some Nurgle stuff going on too. So just really cool artwork. There's the Phalanx, a little bit about that. Again, for me, it was more interesting to read about the space battle than some of the stuff on the ground, just because I enjoyed reading about that. Again, later on, I'm just going to skip ahead. You get the idea. Eventually, Trazyn shows up. He releases some people to help fight. There's this big fight underground that happens. Again, I'm paraphrasing here. We're not going step by step. But some guys from the Heresy era actually show up to fight with Abaddon and kind of hold the line. They get wiped out. So yeah. Creed almost gets killed by Abaddon, but gets spared because Celestine steps in, and then Celestine almost gets killed by Abaddon, and then Greyfax steps in. There's just a lot of like, I'll save you. They're making their roles, I guess, for intervening heroic interventions. The Death of Defiance is just talking about. This is kind of the big section where the War Master Abaddon's big plan of how he's going to take out Cadia comes to fruition here. He basically chucks the remnants of the Black Fortress at Cadia, and it does what it's supposed to do, which is basically completely destroy the planet. It's a giant meteor, Armageddon style, into the planet, takes out a whole sector right off the bat, and all of the damage just too much, and Cadia is lost. At the very end, this is a little section to give you guys hope for Creed. He gets abducted by a, quote, giant. Let's see here. Where was it at? One last effort. Winds snatched away Creed's hurried shot. Light glittered upon. Oh yeah, here it is. The giant's laughter followed Creed into darkness there at the end. So it looks like he gets sucked into a tesseract. And I wonder who that giant could be. Big metal giant. This is what was really interesting to me. Again, this last kind of section here talks about the space battle, the retreat of the Imperial fleet with the Phalanx at the fore, keeping all of Abaddon's ships at bay with their overwhelming firepower, and how they totally get picked off as they're going. The Admech, the Forces of Mars, Call's fleet shows up late to the battle, but basically decides to play rearguard, and they get pummeled the entire way through. They can't warp out because the Eye of Terror has basically consumed Cadia, so there's no safe warp space for them to warp out. It's very, very dangerous, again, to warp while you're in the Eye of Terror because of all the warp beasts. So they are trying to push forward. out of the danger zone with their plasma reactors basically going impulse. If you're a Star Trek fan, they're just trying to push at impulse speed as fast as possible to get away from the other guns and to get into safe space where they can warp with a little bit more results, safe results. So Call's fleet is the AdMech is playing rear guard at this point. They're getting pummeled. Right when they break to basically safe warp area and they start the countdown to warp out, Abaddon's fleet, the black fleet, shows up and cuts off the retreat, but not enough time to stop the majority of the fleet that actually warps out. But basically, they've now sandwiched the AdMech fleet between their fleet and the warp, so they can't quite warp out. So they have to cut the warp engines and have to just manually again try to push forward. More and more ships are getting picked off. And on his ship is actually the Black Templars, Greyfax, Celestine, and of course himself, Belarus Calder. He's on the ship too. The ship is called the Iron Revenant for you folks at home. They end up landing on a planet thanks to a vision from Celestine. So they go to this planet and Celestine's not sure what's ahead, but she has faith in the Emperor that they will be protected. And again, they land actually making Planetfall okay, but shortly thereafter, within a few hours, they start getting harassed by the Hounds of Abaddon are on the planet too. The Emperor's champion actually sacrifices himself to lead some of his brothers to guard the retreat. So I'm curious what they're going to do with that. Is the Black Sword, from the Emperor's champion gone too? Well, we'll find out. But in case you were wondering, they get there just as they're making their way to this ridge. Then they're kind of losing hope, but they're like, we got to keep pressing forward. Abaddon rolls up literally in a Land Raider with his guard, his personal bodyguard. They hop out, and as they're pushing forward, and the Black Templars are ready to fight, turn and fight, and the AdMech remnants are there too, and there's IG guys. Out of the snow explodes some jet bikes. Jet bikes hiss over the icy crest. Underslung shuriken cannons rasping death at the Black Legion. So who saves them? None other than the Eldar. And of course, that's where we get this awesome art piece. And if you read the first part, the Veil Walker actually has a little bit of a communique with Call at the very beginning. So it's kind of coming full circle on this ice planet. And then you have this awesome art piece. As you can see, there's the AdMech forces, Black Templar. There's some of the guards, the Estra Militarum there. And they are getting supported now by Eldar, and they're just trying to get to this massive webwave portal. They get into the portal, and that's where the story ends. And it says right here, Cadia had been lost, but the war continued. So the webway, they have all joined up with the Eldar. So I guess that's where they're going to take us for book 2. That's why we see this picture right here of the Black Templars. We have this mysterious person right here. Don't know, just crimson armor. His armor is described as, let's see, warrior in crimson. His raiment echoing both Craftworld aspect armor and crueler plates of the Comerite pirates. So again, no imperial record of who that. I'm hoping it's an Exodite personally. So that's where the story ends. They, Lord of the Rings style, make their escape into the arms of the Eldar, and they don't care about the planet getting overrun because they're getting out. So that's where that goes. So just before Abaddon can kill them all. And again, just more awesome artwork of the pictures of the story. They're defenders of Cadia. They just list all of the different Space Marines and just awesome forces that do that. Here's where we get into the rules. And again, I'm going to kind of flip through this pretty quick. There's the Empiric Storm Table, which is pretty cool. It's a bunch of random stuff. I'll just show off this page real quick. You can see here, here's an effect here, Psychic Devastation. So different effects that can happen. Here's the war scenario, which is new scenarios to play. Skipping ahead. Here's Celestine, her rules and her blessings and stuff like that. So pretty cool stuff there. I'm not going to read over that, but you get the idea. There's the Triumvirate, there's new formations in there. So combined armed detachment, tactical, inquisitional, tactical objectives too. So there's a lot of really cool stuff in this book. If you want to check out the rules, go buy it. Don't be a jerk and be a pirate or whatever. But go check out the rules. You know, and it's a really cool story. I totally think it's worth picking up just to read through. And then, of course, if you're planning on playing any of those factions, totally go pick this book up. Again, this is book 1. You saw from the cover, book 1 of the Gathering Storm, which means you can't have a book 1 if there's not at least a book 2. So hopefully we'll see what else they're going to do with it. So go check it out. Again, you get a ton of cool stuff. You get the Empiric Storm rules. You get 4 new Echoes of War missions. You get data sheets, war gear, and relics. Again, we've seen all that before. Formations, detachments, tactical objectives, and it's just a lot of really good stuff. So go check it out. Totally worth picking up. This has been a really quick BoLS review, about 16 minutes now, so maybe not that quick. But anyway, I'm AdamHarry from BoLS signing off. Thanks for watching.